You are struggling in your relationship, maybe even feeling hopeless, anxious, worrying if this is going to work out. Is it too late to be saved? Can couples therapy actually help my relationship? So I'm going to tell you exactly how couples therapy works and what you can do to ensure this therapy will save your relationship. Because let's be honest, not everyone will benefit equally from couples therapy. The first thing that really makes or breaks this therapy experience is whether you believe that it will help you. One thing that makes a huge difference in therapy is your attitude. If you feel like the therapy is not going to help you, you probably are not going to invest. You're probably not going to open up, even when the therapist asks you certain questions, because you don't believe it's going to help. You're not going to be as open with your answers because you've already made up your mind. So the couples that benefit the most are the ones that are really open to the process, have hope that this will help them, and they'll actually put in the work to help fix their relationship. So they're ready to make a change. That's the number one thing that will really define your experience in couples therapy. The other thing is about expectations. I do see some couples who come into therapy and they expect to leave the first 3 sessions or even the first session with some outcomes, with something to work with. But really the first few sessions is just for the therapist to get to know you and do an assessment. So if you already go with the mindset of, listen, I'm investing this time, this money, and I need to see change right away, so don't waste my time, you're not going to get what you need, because you do need to invest some time to get some results. And those are the couples that often drop out really early in the process because they don't believe in it. They come for 2 sessions and they're like, okay, I didn't get any benefits for my relationship, and they're gone, and they won't eventually get the help. The ones that get the help are the ones that stick with the process and don't have this unrealistic expectations. The second condition that needs to be in place for couples therapy to actually save your relationship is your capacity to accept responsibility. You heard me. It's not easy to take responsibility for our shortcomings. I'm a therapist. I'm also human. I know it's hard, like when you hear criticism from a partner, to accept. If you're coming to therapy, you need to accept that you bear some sort of a responsibility for the state of your relationship, right? I don't want to say it's always 50-50, but you need to come in with that attitude that I play a part in this. I play a part in the current state of my relationship. And that shows me that you're open to accepting, you're open to feedback, you're open to change. If you are someone who's coming to therapy thinking, okay, I'm just coming to therapy because I'm waiting for the therapist to tell my partner they're wrong, and I'm convinced that I'm not doing anything wrong here, and it's just my partner, and only if I can change them, our relationship will be better. And we all have that to some degree. We have that mindset that it's never our fault. But if they come to the session and still the therapist is pointing out, you know what, you need to take responsibility for this part, and that person is reluctant or doesn't see that they're playing a part, then it's very hard to make progress in therapy, because it's always 2 people responsible. You're both part of a cycle that's creating this emotional distance. So if your attitude is always to point finger at your partner and not accept responsibility, your relationship won't change much after therapy. If anything, progress in therapy will be stalled, because we do have a partner who's part of a problem, who's not accepting they're part of the problems. Realistically, how much change can we make? So that's the second thing. Come to therapy, but be open to accepting accountability and responsibility, and do your part to improve it. The third thing is the frequency of your couples therapy session. So I wish I could tell you, you can come in for 5 sessions and 6 sessions and you'll experience the kumbaya. It'll be magic. I think both me and you know that's not the reality of it, because even though you may feel some improvement after the 4th or 5th or 6th session, which is normal to feel some improvement, but that's not sustainable. So there's a very big chance that you'll revert back to old patterns, old cycles of arguments, old resentment. Give yourself at least 12 to 20 sessions. Really, in our field, even for short-term therapy, for couples therapy, we consider 20 a good number, a good average number to get the most from your sessions. And sometimes you do need to maintain that over time. Like maybe you start on a weekly frequency and then you move to once a month, but some couples actually, to maintain the progress, they do have have these monthly check-ins. It just helps them to keep with those habits, keep their relationship in check, keep themselves in check in terms of the progress they've already made. And it's just working on maintenance. So in the beginning, not to lose the momentum, having weekly sessions is really helpful. And then coming with the attitude that, you know what, I'm going to invest 12 to 20 sessions into this couples therapy and see if it works for me. I guarantee you, if you pay attention to the frequency of the sessions and the number of sessions, it will be a game changer for your relationship. Now, if you're curious to know where your relationship is at, like what are the weaknesses of your relationship, what are its strengths, and get an idea of what you need to improve in your relationship, I have a great relationship test for you right under the video. The fourth thing that's going to make couples therapy really effective for you is the type of couples therapy approach your therapist will use. Because as I said in the beginning, not every couples therapy approach is equally effective. For certain issues like anxiety or OCD or something like CBT works. For other issues like couples therapy, I believe in the approach I use, which is emotion-focused couples therapy. I swear by this method. I see how effective it is in helping couples. So I encourage you, if you are about to start couples therapy, look up the different approaches of couples therapy and do a bit of research to see which one is more effective. Emotion-focused couples therapy is the approach I would go to. If I wanted to work on my relationship, I would only work with a couples therapist who has training in EFT and not try anything else, because day in, day out, I see couples who have tried other types of couples therapy. I've tried other types of couples therapy for my own relationship, and I tell you, this approach is the best one. Actually, in one of my upcoming videos, I'll talk about the emotion-focused couples therapy approach and why it's so unique and why I really stand by this therapy method. The fifth thing that's going to make or break your couples therapy experience is your therapist. Wow, this is such a hard thing to tackle, but I'll tell you, this is one of the most important things you need to pay attention to if you want to start couples therapy right. You need to really dig deep, research that therapist, look at their specializations. Are they just specializing in couples work, relationship work? Okay, that's reassuring. But do they have tens of areas of expertise? They do anxiety, OCD, self-esteem, anger management, all these things, kids, teenagers, and you see all these areas of specializations, then you know that therapist is a generalist, and I wouldn't trust that. You want to go to someone who is exclusively working with couples. At least 60% of their clientele comes from working with couples and relationship issues, if not all of them. Depending on the severity of your issues, I'd say you're better off to work with someone who has years of experience in the field. I think anywhere between 5 years to more than 5 years is okay. But if I were to pick a therapist right now for couples work, I would go with someone who has at least 7, 8 years, 10 years of experience working with couples, because it's such a delicate thing to work with. So make sure you pick the right therapist for you. With a couples therapist, you want to find a therapist who's empathetic, who's going to make you feel safe, and who's not biased in one direction. That's not a good sign if you feel like your therapist is biased, like she's protecting your partner versus you. So you want to feel like you're both being listened to and understood. At the same time, while being empathetic, the therapist has to have a thick skin and may at times give you some tough love and gently challenge you on things. And I think that's a good thing. A therapist that can balance these two things shows that they're strong enough to step in, call you out on certain things that are sabotaging your relationship, while also holding space for you to feel understood and safe. One thing I didn't mention though is how to find this therapist. So watch the video on your screen where I'm going to tell you exactly how I'd find the best therapist.